Hey guys, what's up? It's Rap again. In today's video, an entitled psycho, power-hungry homeowner association president tries to convince a farmer to become part of his HOA. He starts harassing the farmer, cuts down his centuries-old trees, and claims that the farmland actually belongs to the HOA. The HOA gets sued and learns why you don't mess with the farmer. Here is what happened. The title story this time is really long, so please stick until the end to hear the conclusion. So I am a farmer who has lived on my sprawling farm for all my life. Not only that, but many generations of my family have also owned this land for over 100 years. And I take great pride in carrying on the legacy of my ancestors. The farm is located on the outskirts of a small town and is surrounded by vast rolling fields, acres of land that had been passed down to me, which I started to use for raising chickens and goats, and even a small pond that I dug a couple of years ago to raise a few ducks as I loved them and was starting to feel lonely as a bachelor. All in all, it was as peaceful as it could get, well, until these nuisances arrived. Never in a million years had I thought that one day I will have to deal with an HOA, aka Homeowner Association. I have honestly never seen people who are more selfish, haughty, greedy, and demanding in my life, and I've had rich people visit my farm who cannot tell a goose from a duck. Usually, I am not the kind who protests against people just because of opposing views or trying to get their business shut down because I don't like them, but God, these HOA people are truly the worst of breeds. These people have absolutely no consideration for people's time, their personal space, or their life. I know I sound like I'm exaggerating it all, but believe me, I would rather clean a chicken coop by hand than deal with the HOA. I also know that it could have been just my town's HOA that was crap, but honestly, I've never heard one good thing about any HOA, so I'm gonna judge that they are all varying levels of bad. Anyway, on to why I exactly hate my town's HOA. It was a day like any other when I received a notice from the local HOA informing me that I was required to join the HOA and comply with all its rules and regulations. I was shocked as my family had lived on this farm long before the HOA even existed. But the HOA insisted that all property owners within the neighborhood were required to join, and they began to put pressure on me to comply. At first, I chose to ignore it, seeing how they could not legally force me to join the HOA, but it seemed like these people could not take no for an answer. It started off with calls, sweet and coaxing and bribing me in the beginning, before quickly turning into hostile threats, which then turned into insults about my family tree and my life. I was told that I was already a hopeless case because I was single at the age of 30 and should do something productive with my life. Yeah, because clearly joining the HOA was productive. I ignored them again, blocking their numbers and even trying to report them to the local police station, but they also could not do anything as the HOA had some people that were influential and could ruin the life of the common man. I understood that and decided to deal with the HOA on my own. What I did was I downloaded the famous Rickroll song and would play it every time I got a call from them, hearing them curse me as Rick Astley sung in his beautiful voice. I thought maybe now they would be done with me, but nope. One day I got home to see the gate to my property vandalized with neon spray paint. Nothing was written, but offensive things were drawn all over the metal gate. Even my brick walls were vandalized, my name written with a middle finger next to it. Honestly, I just found this childish. So instead of removing it, I brought some spray paint bottles and painted the whole thing black before asking the neighborhood kids to draw whatever they wanted. Of course, the HOA did not like me brushing them off like this, because a few nights later, I heard tires screeching in front of my property. The loud noise woke up my ducks and they started quacking loudly in the house I have built for them. I got out but found nothing other than tire marks in front of my gate. The next morning I got a complaint with a fine from the HOA saying how my ducks were being a nuisance to the whole neighborhood and I needed to get rid of them if I want to continue living here. These people were really behaving as if they owned each and every person and property in this area. I then ignored the fine and wrote back that none of my neighbors were disturbed, so the complaint was void. I also decided to get a Doberman from one of my friends who trained dogs to guard and protect the cattle. This particular Doberman was one I had seen almost every day since he was a puppy, as the training area was near the market that I visited often. He was fond of me, so it was easy to put him on guard duty as soon as I brought him home. The next few days were calm before one day I had a HOA member approach me while I was tending to my fields. He appeared to be all sweet and gentle at first, but when I refused to entertain him, he started huffing and being passive-aggressive with me, saying how he was doing me a favor by letting a dirty farmer like me do whatever I wanted. Before I could say anything else, he pointed a finger at me and said that I had lost all favors by being a stuck-up asshat and the HOA will no longer show me any mercy. He continued on to demand that I cut down the trees of my property as they were supposedly devaluing the HOA properties, and also making the neighborhood appear shabby and not well put together. He went on to say that the trees were scaring people off who wanted to buy land in the area, as the huge trees were just accidents waiting to happen. Now let me explain to you why exactly this HOA member, who I later found out was the president himself, was an idiot for saying that the trees were bringing value down. Those were redwood trees planted by my great-grandfathers and were at least 140 years old. The trees are a beauty to look at and a sight that had previously attracted many people who are now residents in the area. But of course the HOA were too dumb to know this. And even when I tried to explain it to him, the HOA president started cursing me out and threatened me that he will drive me out of this town if I did not do what he had said. And after that day, I started to fear that he might actually try and do that. Because all of a sudden, my tractor was being towed multiple times for no reason, stones were being thrown on my property with the intention of injuring my dog. I had built him a spacious doghouse, but while patrolling the area, the Doberman suffered a few minor injuries thanks to those stones, and I felt so guilty. The electricity would be gone for several days until I had to go and talk to the electrician myself, who will fix the wires that had mysteriously short-circuited. All in all, my life was slowly being turned into a living hell, and I had no idea what to do. I was returning back home one day when I again came across the HOA president, though he was now inspecting my farmland with curious eyes. I was instantly on alert and approached him with as much confidence as I could muster. Me, what are you doing here? HOA president, this land is very fertile, I've heard. And it seems like you know what you're doing. Me, yes, but what does that have to do with you? HOA president, I would like to buy it. Me, excuse me? HOA president, your farmland, I want to buy it from you. Why would I ever give you my farmland? We can both benefit from it. You can continue to work here and I'll make sure that your land is secure. Me, my land needs security from people like you. If that's all you wanted to talk about, you can go away now, because in no world will I ever give my family's farmland to you. HOA president, come on now, no need to be sentimental. We don't need to bring family into a financial deal. Think about it. You sell your land and now you can work on it carefree without ever worrying about the fact that someone else might steal it. Me? Yeah, someone like you maybe. No thank you, I'm already very happy with the state of my land and I don't need your help with anything. You really think you can live here peacefully after denying the HOA time and time again? You refuse to become a member, you refuse to cut down that hideous trees, and now when I proposed a deal, you refused it too. Do you really think a lowlife like you is immune to the powers that men in my association have? Me, first of all, I'm not obliged to agree with you on anything to live here. Secondly, what you are doing constitutes as a threat and coercion, something that's illegal and punishable by law. HOA president, do you really think that your stupid law can punish me? Go ahead then, report to your stupid police force what I'm doing and let's see what they can do to me. Go on, tell them that I'm doing illegal things. My blood was boiling as this jerk of a human kept mocking me and making fun of my own people, standing on my land and threatening me. He laughed at my face and walked away, but not before saying that I have 3 days to make a decision or else he would make it for me. I was panicking as I went home that day, contacting the person I knew in the police force and relaying the information to him. But I knew that he also could not do anything quickly, and not in 3 days especially, and not when I had no evidence. So the first thing I did was go to my electrician friend and ask him where I could get CCTV cameras. He knew someone who provided me with the cameras in a day's time, and my friend installed it all over my property. 2 days had passed by and the third was quickly approaching when I had a small accident on my bike and injured my hips. I was rushed to the hospital where they took care of me, and I thought that maybe this was a blessing in disguise. No way the HOA president would come here to threaten me or make my life miserable. The bruise actually turned out to be a fracture, and I had to stay in the hospital for 3 weeks as no one was at my house to take care of me. I spent the weeks in both worry and happiness as the HOA president did not try to contact me. I should have known something worse was gonna happen. As soon as I was discharged and sent back home, I found out that my majestic redwood trees were nowhere to be seen. Only the stumps were left where the 2 trees once stood. I was furious at this and immediately contacted my friend who had provided me with the Doberman. I had asked him to take the dog away when I was hospitalized, but if I had known this was gonna happen, I would have begged him to stay at my house. He came as quickly as he could with the Doberman and helped me settle in. He also patiently listened to me rant about the corrupt HOAs and their selfish selves. I was in the middle of cursing out the president when I heard sirens outside. Me and my friend came out to see police in front of my property along with said HOA president. I opened the gates and the police informed me that I was being sued by the HOA for not maintaining the trees that had fallen down and caused damage to the neighboring areas. The HOA was also suing me for farming on a land that they owned and not giving them my share of income. All of these accusations came off as a surprise, and if my friend was not there with me, I would have had no idea what I could have done. He helped me inside and asked the police to have a talk with me alone. I asked him to bring my laptop and I showed the police the footage of the CCTV cameras that I had installed, but surprisingly, or maybe not, 3 out of 5 of them were static. It seemed like the HOA president had spotted them and broke them. However, the 2 that my electrician friend had hidden between the fences were still intact and showed clearly that it was the HOA president and his members who had hired people to cut down the trees at night over a course of several nights until it finally collapsed and the people then went away only to return the next day. The HOA then had people collect the wood and take it away, no doubt selling it all for profit. Despite this evidence, I knew it would be hard to defeat this HOA president. So then I asked the help of the police, who had already heard many complaints from me before regarding the HOA, to buy me some time. Thankfully, he agreed quickly as he was also someone who hated what the HOA was doing to his town. The police assured the HOA that they will take action against me in a few days, and that made the members smug and happy. The HOA president then came up to me, his smile vile and disgusting as he gave me a patronizing look. HOA president, you should have listened to me. Me listen to you when you threatened me to become part of your HOA? Or listen to you when you demanded I cut down the trees? Or listen to you when you forced me to sell my farmland to you? HOA president, all of those things you passed. Now you are left with nothing. Oh wait, you still have fines upon fines over your head. Pay that on time or me or what? Will we cut down my trees again? Well, there's nothing to cut now. Or will we use your money to create fake documents when you know that the farmland is mine? HOA president, it belongs to anyone who can prove it belongs to them. If you can prove it, come to the court. I will only need a fraction of my wealth to afford the best lawyer who can prove that my fake documents are genuine. But even when you take a loan, you will not be able to prove that your genuine documents are true. Me, so you admit you will fake the documents? HOA president, history is written by the one who wins. If I win, which I know I will, those fake documents will become true. And then the HOA president walked away with that, smiling all the way to his grand car. What he did not know was that I had recorded our entire conversation. He was right though, I did have to take a loan to afford a good lawyer, but with the abundance of evidence that I had, even his expensive lawyer was unable to defeat us in court. It cost me a lot to fight the case though, but after I won, I was granted tens of thousands of dollars for property damage and several hundreds of thousands for the damage to such old trees. I had to get an arborist to prove its age, but it was worth it, and many other small fines. At the end, the total amount was absolutely staggering. However, I won't reveal the total number as it might dox me, and I already revealed too much info anyway. It was then that I was approached by the HOA president again to settle the final amount outside of court and drop this case. Well, bad for him. I had recorded that conversation as well and got him charged with bribery too. By the time the case was finally closed, the entire HOA had crumbled and they were blaming each other for all the damage. The HOA president had to sell his property to pay for it all on top of the charges for his lawyer and whatnot. I also got almost all of my redwood back that they have chopped down, which I then commissioned one of the carpenters in the town to make some outdoor furniture and held monthly parties with my neighbors to celebrate the downfall of the evil HOA. And yeah, Ripe Stars, if you enjoyed this absolute XXL mega HOA story, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post a comment, because that would help me tremendously. Also, I just wanted to say quickly happy birthday to Joseph Caldwell from the comments. It's his birthday today, so please all wish him a happy birthday. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. It is titled Revenge on Neighbor. Me, 25 male, and my roommate, 25 female, live in a building. Unfortunately, the walls are super thin. There are rules in the condo association that say that you cannot vacuum after 7:30, etc., but one of these rules is that you cannot play excessively loud music to disturb your neighbors. And our neighbor is a drummer. He is honestly the worst. One of the many issues is that he plays really loud music, sometimes super late at night, with no care about other people on our floor. Many neighbors have complained, and my roommate and I have left countless letters at his door. That's not the only reason that we hate him though. He also lets his dog pee in the elevator of our apartment and does not clean it up. There's a lot more reasons, but moving on, last weekend we received a letter in the mail from our neighbor. It said that he would be recording music and that he wanted everyone on the 7th floor to be aware of that. I lost it because he is always the issue, not us. That weekend also happened to be Super Bowl Sunday, so my roommate and I decided to get revenge. It's kind of lame looking back at it though. We blasted the game super loud and left to go to a Super Bowl party, leaving the game on for 4 to 5 hours. We share a wall with our neighbor, the drummer, so we put the speaker directly against his wall so that only he heard it and not everyone else on our floor. When we came back, he was so mad and complaining about how we ruined his recording, but now comes the good part. To get revenge on us, he started playing super loud music. It was around 11 PM, but he already had a history of noise complaints, and this would be the last one that the apartment needed in order to fine him. The fine for repeated noise complaints is $6,500 US. That's like 3 months of rent. And by the way, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, that is very expensive rent. I'm curious, how much rent do you guys pay per month? If you're willing to share, let me know in the comments, because I am curious. The next one is titled Neighbor Wakes Up Early. I live in a small area and I walk to the gym at 5:30 AM in the morning. However, both of my neighbors have their dogs outside their house covered by a fence. When I step outside my house, those dogs start barking like crazy, even though I never even look at them directly. I guess they might be guard dogs or something. Recently, my neighbor with the dogs started complaining to me that I am disrupting their sleep and making their dogs aggressive every early morning. I told him I need to go to the gym at that time and it's not my fault that the dogs are barking like crazy. It's not like I'm walking over to those dogs, I just walk straight to the direction of the gym. Am I the jerk here? Comment number 1, not the a-hole, you're not waking them up. Their own dogs are, this is their problem to solve. Comment number 2, lol. If they want to play these games, I would start walking around 10 to 11 PM as well, but I'm terrible, and so yeah. Comment number 3, not the a-hole. If they cannot deal with guard dogs doing their job, they shouldn't have guard dogs. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that OP is the a-hole or not? Also, someone said, what are they gonna do if you start working shifts and come home at 2:30 AM every night? And the next one is titled Fence and Neighbor. We moved in 4 years ago. Our house has really old split rail fence that we knew we would have to eventually replace. A year and a half ago, we got a neighbor who asked if they could tie into our fence, and being neighborly, we said sure. But we are gonna have to replace it in the next few years. And they also have 3 dogs. And well, the time has come. I got quotes for aluminum and split rail. The aluminum is 11K, split rail is 8K. Since aluminum is permanent, we decided to go with the aluminum. We asked the neighbor if they would chip in to help pay for the fence since they use it. We said, even if they would give us their share of the split rail, we would be grateful. Their share of the cheaper fence is 1K. They came back and said that they spoke to the HOA and they are not required to pay for any of the fence. We said, correct, we didn't expect anything, we just wanted to ask. So am I the a-hole if I say F it, move the fence in a foot into our property line and they can build their own fence? I don't want to start a neighbor war, but if roles were reversed, we would give them our fair share. Also, I'm petty as hell, so I have that working against me. Flip side, can anyone explain their point of view for me? I just cannot wrap my head around it. Comment number 1, build on your side of the existing fence if you can. And by the way, I am also petty, not the a-hole. Comment number 2, not sure that it is really worth it. You would end up with a weird 1-foot section of overgrown grass between the 2 fences, no. But I don't understand their thinking, since they need the fence, so I say not the a-hole. Could you remove the fence and just delay putting in the new one for a month or so? Equally petty, but less permanent. And yeah, Ripe Stars, once again, I would love to hear your opinion about this. Do you think that OP is the a-hole or not? Let me know in the comments. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.